Hi there, I'm Jasper Smith. I'm the CEO and founder of Arksen. We get so many inquiries from people that really just want to see the detail of the boats that we build, and we've got an Arksen 85 behind me, which is a real masterpiece. And I'd like to introduce Jim. Jim's the CTO of Arksen. We're going to take you all the way through the boat. But yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful product.
Yeah, so I think first things first, just looking at the boat from an exterior styling and design perspective. So we work closely with Humphreys Yacht Design, and they've done all the naval architecture and the exterior styling. I think first things first, I think they've absolutely nailed it on the styling front. She really stands out here in the marina, out on the water, looks fantastic. So really pleased there.
And it's like building out of aluminium. I mean, I think that was one of the first choices we made. And I think it was at the time we debated it for a long time, but it would be really interesting just to talk through that.
Sure. Yeah, so the Arksen 85 is a low displacement length ratio hull, so she's got to be light, she's got to be efficient. Aluminium ticks those boxes, super strong, nice and lightweight compared to a lot of other materials. But it's also infinitely recyclable. So the aluminium used in this boat, in some places up to 70% recycled, and in general is at least 40% recycled, and it can be recycled again and again and again. So that's really important to us.
Yeah, and I think that whole circular economy, the principles of a circular economy are so essential. The marine industry generally hasn't done that very well. And I think the fact that this entire boat is built with that philosophy in mind is amazing. And
Absolutely.
I guess efficiency is a key part of the hull. And tell me about the hull and how that was conceived.
Yeah, so after the concept was kind of taken on and the design development started, Humphreys and Arksen took the hull through an extensive testing program. So tank testing, tow tank testing, open water tank testing, looking at the way that the boat will perform in a seaway, as well as just generally looking at the resistance of the boat from a powering perspective. And this is where we ended up. And so far on trials, she's exceeded expectations. So we found that on trials, cruising at around 9 knots, we're consuming about 26 litres an hour of fuel, which is pretty fantastic for a boat this size. Yeah. We've been out in some pretty rough seas. From a seakeeping and a general comfort perspective, she's been fantastic. Yeah, and just a general point on the construction of the boat. So for instance, the aluminium below the waterline is 12 millimeters thick. Top sides are 8 millimeters, and the scantlings of the boat, the structural design of the boat, is generally well in excess of the requirements we're building to. So she's super tough, really suited to going off, doing crazy things in remote places, and being a comfortable and safe platform for an owner to be on.
And she's built she's MCA Cat 0.
Yeah.
But tell me a bit about, the standards that she's been built to.
So in the length bracket we're in, we're actually, we're building in line with the MCA Workboat Code Category 0. And that is largely led by class requirements. So for instance, the hull structure, watertight integrity, is generally built in line with classification standards. She's actually certified to MCA MGN 280 Cat 0. So that's unlimited, unrestricted operation. And the design of the systems is all in line with class requirements. We've gone over and above in terms of robustness, redundancy, from a reliability perspective and a safety perspective. We've really gone to town on it. It'd be great to have a look at that.
Yeah. And this hull, the client for this hull wanted it with the world showing and bare aluminium, but run us through the other options that are available.
Yeah, so I think it looks great. Bare aluminium. This is completely bare aluminium. It's just been lightly sanded to get a nice smooth finish, and yet welds on show, looks fantastic. However, we can do all sorts of things there. We can completely sand the whole thing. Another boat we're building at the moment, another 85, has got a lovely clear coat on it, so it preserves that raw finish of the aluminium. It won't patina over time, and that also looks fantastic. So it depends what you want as an owner. But we also have options for painting, fairing and painting, vinyl wrapping, where of course you can. Sky's the limit in terms of what you do design-wise, so all sorts of things that you can do there. But this customer really likes this bare, honest aluminium look.
Yeah, it's super functional, isn't it? It's pretty bulletproof. And talk me through, the fins and stabilisation on this.
Yeah, so this boat is fitted with Humphrey fin stabilisers and interceptors. So it's basically, it's something where you can go as far as you want to with it. You know, we're building another boat where we have fins. We also have gyro stabilizers. You know, someone who wants a really versatile boat in terms of stabilization underway and anchor. We found these spins on trial has been phenomenal both at anchor but also underway in a beam sea. Really stable platform, really nice motion to the boat, which is really important, I think, from a comfort perspective.
Yeah, for sure. And is that taking most of the roll out? I mean, what sort of percentage of the roll does that? Does that take?
So it all depends on the conditions, obviously. But on paper, they can take up to 80% of the roll.
Super impressive.
But it's not just about completely eliminating it. It's also about being realistic on longer distance ocean passages. You know, you're always going to get some level of movement, but it makes an enormous difference to the comfort on board, as we found on our recent trip to the Channel Islands and back. You know, really comfortable trip. In sometimes some pretty heavy sea states, and really good.
And given the efficiency of the hull, and the size of the tanks, what sort of range, forecasts have you got?
So we're looking around about cruising speed of 9 knots, estimated up to about 7,000 miles. So it depends on a lot of things. Obviously, it depends what you're doing in terms of your hotel loads and how much you're using your generators. But but that's a real figure that is achievable with this boat.
It's a long way.
Super efficient. Yeah, it's it gives you the ability to be really selective about where you take on fuel if you're crossing the Pacific, for instance. And that's the whole idea. But and we also these enormous fuel tanks we have. They're also really important if you want to really control the trim of the boat. If you're, depending on what loads you're carrying, what tenders, what toys, what you're doing, it gives you that ability with the onboard transfer systems to move fluids around, including the water, to really set the boat up the way you want it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so, I mean, the stability of the boat, I guess, is everything. And so you've got complete load balancing systems in there. And in terms of holding position and holding station, just talk me through some of those sort of capabilities that the boat's got.
So I mean, this particular boat has a bow thruster. We have propellers a meter diameter, big flow-aligned rudders, really efficient. Loads of power there, loads of maneuverability at slow speeds. So, and that's really important if you're berthing in difficult conditions, or if you're looking to sort of try and hold station. That really makes a big difference. But we also have options for stern thrusters and dynamic positioning type systems, depending on where you go with the specifications.
And just thinking about things like the glass that we've used in building this, do you want to just sort of talk a bit about the options that you have with glass? And
yeah, so in general, I mean, we, as you'll see when we get on board and we start looking around, we've got extensive glazing, and it's really important that is genuinely going to be tough enough to go out and take whatever the sea throws at it. So in some places the glazing's up to 1 inch thick, which makes it just super tough. And then there are plenty of options there in terms of what tints you put on the glass, in terms of solar reflecting interlayers to reduce your HVAC loads, heated glazing for demisting, and we're using these things all over the place. And,
wow! I can't wait to see that.
Loads of
amazing.
options.
And then in talking about the sort of the rear swim step here, you've got, I guess, different options with that that we've offered clients. Do you want to just talk us through a couple of those?
Yeah. So this is the sort of the standard arrangement here. So nice big bathing platform, good access to the water. You can see on the port side there some swim steps that fold down. Watertight door through into the Lazarette. But we also do options for hydraulic bathing platforms where the whole aft bulkhead there hydraulically folds down, which not only gives an amazing access into the Lazarette for getting out toys or equipment, whatever it is, but also increasing the size of the bathing platform. It extends the bathing platform by about 0.5 meter if you go for that option. And we've looked at all sorts of options for deployable platforms and things like that. So it really depends how you want to use the boat.
And the bumper, that's great. Really,
another
really practical. That's what's so wonderful about this boat. It's designed for use and function, so practical, and like real statements of intent, and sort of.
Yeah, that's right. It's not only is a very practical feature in terms of just doing its job as a fender, but it's also I think it's a great styling feature. It's a chunky, robust looking piece of the boat.
It's great.
Yeah.
Should we jump on board?
Yeah, sure. So when we go through to the Lazarette,
Yeah. Oh, this is fantastic, isn't it? I really love the, the layout and the thinking around, the usage case like diving, and I think you've got the dive compressor there and the bottles set up there. I mean, it's just really well thought through.
So yeah, it's a really multi-purpose space, really. So as you see over there, you've got the laundry equipment under that cover there. There's a nice surface for putting your laundry down on. Cleaning materials. There are a couple of big freezer drawers under there, a couple of 100 litres of additional freezer space there to go with the rest of the refrigeration on board. Dive bottle racks. This, at the moment, the captain of this particular boat has got it set up in sort of storage mode for the delivery trip to initial cruising grounds, but these are full of diving equipment, tools, spares. There's plenty of other storage space. Under the floor, there's storage space. Plenty of spaces to fit all that gear. And then here we have a water purifier for purifying dock water to make sure that's all nice and clean. We've got steering hydraulics. So we have a super robust steering system. It's twin cylinder. Each cylinder is capable of fully powering the steering system. AC and DC power packs there. So there's a backup option there in terms of power for the steering. And then the valves you see here, there's options for bypassing one rudder. If you damage a rudder, you can bypass one and operate on the other. All sorts of things there going on. It's
so sort of multiple forms of redundancy. Particularly around the steering.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that you always have to have. Is backup means of steering, and we've got lots of redundancy there.
And it's nice to see you've got a pillar drill.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lovely vice. So this is a sort of a workshop area, really. So the idea is wherever this boat is in the world, the captain will be able to carry out any maintenance activities, do any sort of running repairs. Lovely set of tools he's got here. There's a little sink in the corner there. Basically just to keep the boat running without having to rely on marinas and contractors. Very practical.
What was the philosophy? I mean, we talked a lot about, the overall philosophy in terms of, how the HVAC systems and how the piping and how the plumbing and systems were sort of built. You've got things like above the waterline exhausts, and I remember us talking a lot about, how the seacocks were developed and the approach to that.
Firstly, it's trying to minimise the amount of hull penetrations you have. If there's if there's a part of the hull where water might come in, is it necessary? Can it be combined with something else? Can they be grouped? Can they be? It's essential they're put in accessible locations, so the captain knows where every single one is, and if there's an issue, how to get to it. And we and exhaust. Yes, we have an exhaust separator system. So the gas comes up above the water line. The water goes out below. We'll see when we go in the engine room, sort of the robustness of the way that those systems are built.
Brilliant, amazing. Should we go through into the engine room?
Yeah.
So this looks fantastic.
Yeah. So
really,
first and foremost, this is our
beautiful piece of engineering.
This is our conventional propulsion variant of the 85. So we have the conventional, and then we have the hybrid version. We're building one of each at the moment. And so this is powered by a couple of Scania DIO9s. These are each 350 horsepower, and they're coupled to remote V-drive ZF gearboxes. So we have we've got these big meter diameter propellers. We've got reasonably slow revving engines, with big heavy duty gearboxes, and so immensely powerful and robust setup. Very very commercial in that respect.
And talk me through the tank system that you've got.
Yeah.
Over on the far side.
So down each side of the engine room, we'll see we've got tankage. So we have 2 day tanks for the fuel. So each of those are 500 litres. So we've got our total fuel capacity is 17,500 litres, which is pretty immense. Amazing. But we have 2 day tanks and a system to transfer and to clean fuel as it comes into those day tanks. So they're located forward here. Waste oil tank. So if you accumulate any sort of bilge water, you can't put over the side. That goes into a 500 litre waste oil tank, and then various sewage tanks, water tanks throughout the boat.
What's so fantastic is, it's built to a commercial standard, so everything is sort of, not completely bulletproof, but it's, super robust.
Pretty close,
pretty
yeah,
close
yeah.
to being,
yeah, absolutely. So all the pipework, as you look around, we really try to minimise the use of flexible pipework. It's all solid. We've got conifer piping on the seawater. Everything is to an approved standard. There's two of pretty much everything, if it's all about that redundancy. If something has to come out of service for maintenance, for instance, you've got another one that it can run on. And everything is designed to be as accessible as possible, which is often these engine rooms can get quite cramped.
They're really cramped,
So
what about the generators? Talk us through those.
Yeah, so this particular boat, we've got 2 Kohler generators, so each of these are 20 kilowatts.
So you've got a screwdriver as well?
Yeah, just in case. Typically the boat doesn't actually use these. We've got a fairly large battery bank that we'll see in a sec. So we've got a lithium battery bank. We've got big auxiliary alternators on the engines, and then we've got some pretty big inverter chargers. So that covers usually the base running loads of the boat. But for instance, if you had a lot of people on board, you've got your HVAC running high. You can turn on one generator, and if required, the second one will start. A clever system with these in terms of how they start, how they parallel, to make sure that the load is balanced, the running hours are balanced. And again, these are run through mufflers and separators, so that from a noise perspective, when these are running, outside the boat it's very quiet, but also we could just be stood here having a conversation like this, and without having to raise our voices. They're really quiet. So yeah, really nice pieces of kit.
And what was the philosophy overall on noise? I mean, between the hybrid and the standard configuration, the noise parameters are slightly different because of the encased nature of the generators on the hybrid. But it'd just be interesting. I mean, when we started off, we had really narrow parameters on what we would accept on sort of noise.
Yeah. So we've been really kind of aiming high in terms of keeping the noise down, and that's gone right back to the structural design. So. The aluminium structural members that the engines and generators are sat on have been designed in collaboration with some noise and vibration experts to make sure that things are placed right, spans are managed properly to try and kill off that structural borne vibration at the source. But we're also a really well insulated boat. So for instance, the engine room here is fully A60 insulated from a fire perspective, as a starting point, and then there's other sound dampening materials used to try and keep any noise and vibration in here, basically. And throughout the accommodation, we've got really high specification, sound deadening and thermal insulation, materials around the outside of the boat, between cabins, really doing everything we can to kill off the noise. It's worked really well. It's on trials. It's super quiet. And the hybrid boat is even better because you don't have a combustion engine directly coupled to a propeller shaft. You don't have that vibration transfer, and the generators are in sound insulated enclosures. The engine of the generator is resiliently mounted, and the whole thing is then resiliently mounted to the structure. So really quiet. And then electric motors, so obviously you don't get the gearbox whine. Remote thrust bearings, all sorts of things going on to reduce noise. I could talk for hours about the ins and outs of how we're reducing noise.
I guess we're going.
I won't bore you with that.
That's open already.
Okay. I'll
through.
So this is the battery room. So again, we have a completely separate space for the batteries, and this space is watertight. Again, it's A60 fire insulated. So from a safety perspective, we're meeting all of the requirements there. Separate fire suppression systems, separate ventilation, separate climate control. We've really gone all out there to make sure that this space is maintained. The batteries are kept at a temperature that they're happy at, and everything's safe. So these are lithium LFP batteries, which are really stable chemistry, and we're looking at about 40 kilowatt hours of usable capacity here, which is amazing, really. It means you can really quite comfortably spend a night at anchor, for instance, without having to run a generator, even longer if there aren't many people on board.
Wow.
So paired with the batteries, we have the alternators on the engines. We've then got the Victron Quattro inverter chargers here. So they serve a number of functions. They take the AC power directly from the shore power or from the generator. Depending on what you're running on, they'll automatically detect what you're using. And obviously they're also inverters. So if you're not on shore power and you're not wanting to run a generator, they will invert from your battery bank. In terms of shore power, we have a couple of aspects to the system. So the main shore power is through the Quattros, which is, as we're a 50 hertz boat. If you're traveling to the Americas, for instance, you might want to plug into 60 hertz shore power. So in order to do that, we have this second bank of chargers here, and these are multi-frequency chargers. So you can go directly into those with 60 hertz shore power, and then they'll charge the batteries, and then from there you invert at 50 hertz. And the other aspect to that is that when you're in those regions, if you plug the main shore power in, it automatically detects the change in frequency, and that will then directly charge the HVAC systems, which are the sort of the big main consumer of power on board. Which means you retain that same level of shore power capacity, and you don't have to have anything too sophisticated in terms of big, heavy shore power systems. So really clever, but really simple, straightforward. Yeah, we're really pleased with it.
Brilliant. And talk me through the solar capacity on the boat.
Yeah, so you see, we have the solar chargers there, and then when we go outside, you'll see we've got about 40 square meters of solar panels, and they're flexible bonded solar panels. Capacity around about 7 kilowatts. Obviously, depends on the conditions and the shading. But so far, we've found them really effective just in the UK. So when we get them to warmer climes, we'll really be able to see how they perform.
And this is the captain's cabin. Really luxurious, beautifully done. I mean, I think it's a sort of very unusual for a boat this size to have a skipper's cabin that's as sort of as well configured as
this. I think the captain's done well on this boat. Lovely cabin, direct access to the engine room, which is great. Obviously, for the captain wants to be able to quickly get to the engine room to do his checks and things. He's also got a chart plotter here, so he can, from the bed, can see the navigation systems, can see alarms, and then from here he's got great access to the rest of the boat. So really nice cabin.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think that's, as we move inside, one of the sort of big philosophies of the boat has been about how it's used, and these boats are supposed to be away from port for many months at a time. Having spent a lot of time at sea on boats, it's really lovely to have areas that feel different, that look different, to have modular designs. And I think working with Design Unlimited, who have done the interior design on this boat, I think there's been so much consideration to that, and I think this owner's cabin is just a great example of a really welcoming, wonderful environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. DU have done an amazing job. We're really pleased with the interior, and as is the owner, and so we have a whole choice, as you might imagine. Well, the sky's the limit in terms of choice of materials and finishes, but this is fairly representative of our sort of standard set of finishes, and we get really good feedback. It works really well. It's quite light. It's quite warm. We can also change the arrangement. So we actually, the other boat we're building, for instance, has a doorway through here, and what is the captain's cabin on this boat is a study with a desk and quite a nice modular approach to working spaces and seating. That works really nicely.
I think it's really interesting how different people use these types of vessels. Some people will actually use them in quite confined areas, small areas, small cruising areas. Other people want to sort of cruise the world. Like on the other boat that they're being built, having an office there with all of the comms and networking facilities is really, is really important. And a study and a library.
Absolutely, I mean, the office space is, like you say, the comms. It's connected to the SATCOMs. There's satellite data there. And it's just a lovely, cosy place to kind of escape from the rest of the boat as well in some respects. So if you're working from the boat, it's a really nice place to be. And then through in the bathroom here, the ensuite.
This feels fantastic. Really is lovely. And this is a steam room, doubles up as a steam room as well. I mean,
Yeah.
The space is, is huge. You feel really comfortable in here. Lovely little blind. I've got my clothes on at the moment, but beautiful. Yeah, really, really, well configured, well appointed. Feels really lovely. Feels very luxurious, very special. And I think that's a big part of what we've tried to do in building these boats, is just make them feel, really, fundamentally a great place to be. Really comfortable, really safe, really secure. So much changing in the world anyway, that actually what you want is a home from home. You want somewhere where you can feel, really nurtured, and that's really so much about the design philosophy of this boat has been about protection, safety, feeling in a safe space with people you love, and hopefully that comes across as we walk you through it.
All right, should we make our way through to the guest accommodation?
Yeah.
So
yeah, but lovely and light down here as well, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely spaces. So main stairway up to the main saloon there. So there's masses of storage space under the stairs there. So the stairs lift up. Really great storage for luggage or whatever you might want to put down there.
And so this is one of the watertight bulkheads here.
Yeah.
I guess so. Talk us through.
So yeah,
the approach here and how many there are.
So yeah, you'll see these watertight doors throughout the boat. So the boat has really great subdivision from a watertight integrity perspective. So we have different watertight compartments. We have double bottom tankage, and that gives us really great damage stability. So from a safety and security perspective, that's really great. And then, as you might expect with each compartment, all of the relevant safety systems, bilge pumping systems, emergency lighting, all of that is considered in the design. But they're just a great feature as well. I think on an Explorer boat, it looks really solid.
Yeah, it looks really solid. Would you run underway with these closed all the time? I mean, I have to say yes, but whether people do or not, I don't know. But you really should do. Yeah. And this feels, really spacious. There's no, I feel really comfortable.
Yeah.
Walking down here is great use of space.
And storage built in as well into the passageway, whether that be for linens or whatever. So yeah,
do you want to take us through one of the?
Sure. Yeah.
Cabins?
So these are the guest cabins. The sort of the first two guest cabins we come to. So the cool thing about these is that they're converting. So this one is set up as a double at the moment, but this inboard bunk will slide inboard to turn this into a twin. So yeah, really versatile there. And you've also got the capability to have Pullman bunks in here or pipe cots, depending on how you configure things, for whether it be for kids or for extra guests. Pilot berths, there's plenty of options there. And then a lovely ensuite in each.
What was the thinking about the sort of, the bathrooms are pretty large, aren't they? Which I think, it was, again, just trying to make it feel quite luxurious.
And I think you'll notice with these particular cabins is that the headroom really steps up as well inside the bathroom because of the step in the deck above. It means when you step into the bathroom, which is a reasonably small space, it makes it feel much bigger because it's got that extra headroom. Which really works.
Headroom's huge, isn't it? What is the headroom down here? Is this
2 meters. So we have 2 meters minimum throughout. Some places a little bit more, but that's our minimum, which is generous. I'm not the tallest person in the world, but it's certainly it's a really comfortable height.
This is the starboard cabin, and what's interesting is this one's been configured so that it's in a twin configuration, and as per the port cabin, these two can come together, so you can have a double or the twin configuration. Again, it's designed to be sort of quite intimate, to feel really spacious. It's a lovely place to hang out, read books, watch your iPad, watch TV, watch a film, that sort of thing. The wood textures, really lovely. There's a gorgeous smell in here. Again, so much attention has been put into trying to make the environment feel rich and welcoming and comforting. And obviously it's got some teddy bears. Yeah, really lovely. And then the Bathroom configuration is pretty much the same on either side. So large mirrors, lovely porthole so you can see out. I'm looking out on a dock, but generally you'd be able to see out on an amazing view. High capacity showers, lots of water flow, lots and lots of hot water as well. So yeah, really good functionality. And Jim, talk us through how the loos are all electric, obviously.
Yeah, so they're macerator toilets, and then so we have the sort of the usual waste handling facilities, but we also have a sewage treatment plant on board. So black water, grey water is collected and treated so that what's discharged overboard is clean.
How much sewage can, how long can you go for with say 5 people, 6 people on board?
Oh, really depends
depends
how you're using it. But with it, I mean, for instance, this boat's been sat with 4 people on it for a couple of weeks now, and the sewage system's about maybe 50% full. So it's with that sewage treatment plant, it really improves things there. Yeah.
And the output of the sewage treatment plant is pretty pure, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sterile. I wouldn't drink it, but it's sterile. It's a sterile liquid that's safe to discharge. I mean, so which means that at this size of boat, in most places in the world, you can put that over the side, and it's and that's fine. But we have the holding capacity, so if you're in zero discharge areas, you can hold that on board and hold everything on board.
Brilliant. I mean, for a boat that's this size, 24-meter boat, pretty.
Particularly the hybrid boat, where you can cruise silently into an anchorage on electric power, and then spend the night and not discharge anything, and then cruise silently out the next day. It's
lovely. It's that sort of don't leave a trace.
It's
like wilderness camping at its best.
Absolutely, yeah. Right.
So take us forward, yeah.
Yeah. So another waterside door. So forward here we have two guest cabins, which are configured so they can be used by either crew or guests, depending on how the boat's being run. So on this boat, they're guest cabins. So to port here, we have a twin bunk cabin. It's actually full of a lot of the boat's stores at the moment as storage, so we won't go into that one. And then in here, the starboard forward guest cabin. So again, twin bunks, really lovely, cosy space.
Which bunk's yours?
And then again an ensuite. And I think given how fine the bow is, really, I think the interior design has done a really good job here of fitting in 2 ensuite cabins right up in the bow. It's the geometry of it has taken some real thought and consideration, but it works really well. So we're really pleased with that.
And is the port cabin pretty much a duplication of this?
More or less, yeah. Staggered arrangement slightly, so 1 shower compartment in front of the other. But
2 bunks.
Yeah, 2 bunks, 2 bunks and ensuite, and then on this side, we have the access through to the forepeak. So whether it's an emergency escape or whether it's a routine crew access, if the crew's staying in here, you can get through to the forepeak here and then up onto the deck. So if I step through, so in here we have some storage boxes down one side. We've got hanging space for lines and fenders, whatever else you might need. This side, storage space under the floor, and then you've got these 2 enormous chain bins. So we'll talk a bit more about the anchoring equipment when we get up onto the deck. But there are 2 chain lockers here, and each one of these is 130 meters of 14mm anchor chain. So let's have a look. So that there gives you access if you need to get in there to clean or to dislodge a knot of chain or whatever you might want to do. You can really easily get in there, same both sides. And there's also top access from the deck. So these are fully drained spaces. So from the deck, you can also get down and get down into the chain bins. So really nice practical feature there.
Yeah, that's great. Really lovely. Oh, well done.
There we go, just like that. And then the ladder up to the foredeck.
Yeah, this is a lovely space. You've got a lot of storage down here as well. There's tons of storage down there as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
For I don't know what.
I think maybe like recycling, that sort of thing. You know, there's so much space in there that you could flat pack empty boxes and crush cans and things like that. Plenty of sort of racking for storage boxes and things. So I'll jump over this side. So this is the foredeck. So just general arrangement terms. This particular arrangement, there's sort of an island unit in the middle here, which is full of, you might want to put your lines, your fenders in there, or anything that you might want to store outside here. So that's a really useful
and that's a sun
useful
pad
space.
for the less adventurous.
Yeah,
it's a sun pad, you can just chill out.
Absolutely, yeah. Why wouldn't you? And then a nice dining area here. So this table can drop down to form a sun pad.
Oh, right.
But you can do whatever you want up here. The other boat we're building, this unit isn't here. There's just this seating, and then it's just completely open. And there are lashing points in the deck, so you can tie down any toys or cargoes that you might want to bring on your adventure. Or you could just have a big sun pad here. It really depends how you want to use the boat. So this one is quite utilitarian, quite practical in terms of storage. And there are other storage features as well up here. You know, all of these bulwarks, we've got this great open pocket design. So each one of these is drained, and there's plenty of space for air to get around. So on this particular boat, when they're not using them, they keep their mooring lines in there, but you can put your fishing rods in there.
And they look fantastic. They look so functional.
Yeah.
And tons and tons of space.
Oh, it's a great styling feature. As you look down the deck, it flows really nicely.
Yeah, really good. And what about so talk us through the anchor gear.
Yeah, so we have 2 anchors up here, all rigged, ready to go. So I think the rule requirement for the boat of this sort of size and displacement is, I think it's like two 80 kilo anchors. Well, we've got a primary anchor, 130 kilos, super high holding power, ultramarine anchor, and then we've got if I jump up here, down here we have an 80 kilo claw anchor. These are both on 14mm chain, and as I said before, there's about 130 meters of chain on each of those. So really kind of over-spec'd anchoring equipment, and they tuck away really nicely. The way Humphreys have designed this bow sprit and the way that everything tucks in there and the way they deploy and are brought home works really well.
And I love just the jet wash, the thinking about all of those sort of tiny details.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's what's wonderful about this boat. It's really, really been thought through from sort of, for the last 4.5 years. I mean, it's an incredible engineering feat to have gone through all of these design loops, all of these details. It's just lovely to see things like that.
Yeah, and we've taken, over that period, we've spoken to all sorts of specialists, not just in terms of the design, but in terms of the operation of these boats. We, to make sure that we're doing this right. So the anchor wash, there's a really high flow rate of water dropping down over the chain as it comes up, rather than spraying, just to control the amount of mud that comes, to basically stop mud coming into the boat when the chain comes back up. Just little things like that you take on board when you're talking to operators. Everything's very accessible in terms of the anchoring. We've got on this boat, 2 hydraulic anchor windlasses. So these are over-spec'd in terms of power. It's the idea being, if you're somewhere remote and you drag your anchor off an underwater mountain or whatever, you can not only will it obviously lift up the weight of the anchor and the chain, but also any mud and kelp that might be attached to it. It's
and the odd rock.
The odd rock, yeah, maybe, yeah. Really, really heavily over-spec'd, and as it should be on an explorer boat.
Yeah, for sure. And then you've got this lifting device. That's, I guess, for crew tender.
Yeah, for whatever you might want to put on the foredeck, really. This is an option this customer went with, and it'll lift 250 kilos, so you can lift quite a lot with that. And they have a small tender which they lift on and off with that, and then the larger tender that we'll see when we go aft. But a very purposeful, practical,
it looks great.
Looking thing.
Looks really fantastic. Yeah, and these are really over-spec'd, aren't they? I mean, lovely, really strong.
Yeah. So as we move around, you see the various mooring bollards we have. Those are aluminium tubes welded through the deck down into the structure. Everything's tied into the structure of the boat, so they're massively strengthened, and they just look, they're practical as well. Anyone who's spent any time working on boats just knows how annoying it is when you have a a piddly little cleat or something that you can't get a line on around, and yeah, they're just really.
I had
really
a
practical.
production boat years ago, and we tied up in a storm, and it just ripped the cleat off. Just like what?
Yeah, I think you could hang the boat from these.
Yeah, for sure. And then the glass. You were saying that the glass. You know, we've got two configurations of glass here.
Mm-hmm.
At the front, it's clear because of the rules.
Yeah, so for safety and navigation, the front four windows here are totally clear, but then there's a slight tint on this as you go aft. And then when we get onto the upper deck, you'll see that actually that's all completely clear. The owner wanted the best possible view.
Right, brilliant. This area, you know, I guess you've got, you know, the awnings come over.
Yeah.
All of that. I've not seen the awnings up actually, but I think they go all the way forward, don't they?
Yeah. So we have a sort of a stretched fabric really that it sort of anchors to the around the front of the superstructure here, with a peak line from the top up there, which pulls a peak to it to allow water to drain off, and then some removable carbon fibre poles in the bow here. So you have standing headroom throughout the whole space. Looks really cool, and it's the design. The awnings are designed to withstand sort of 30 knots of breeze, you know. You know, they're really solid, and but yeah, really look great as well.
This looks fantastic. It really does look.
It's that kind of marrying of the sort of the sleek, these sort of sleek yachtier features, and then the rugged, robust sort of welded aluminium, and it's I think it works really well.
Yeah. It's interesting how some people love this sort of rugged look and the functionality of it, and other people really, you know, want sort of, you know, painted full of, you know, sort of film fair painted hull. Yeah,
which we can do, you know, and the other boat we're building, for instance, has a timber deck. You know, it has a sustainably sourced timber that's been treated, a product called Tsumo. Looks like teak, performs like teak, weathers like teak. And just looks beautiful, you know. And again, it's with the glazing, and then the teak, but then the timber, but then the rough sort of raw aluminium look. It actually works really nicely.
And what this deck is a Treadmaster deck.
Yeah.
And this is the sort of a basic configuration, I guess.
Yeah. So it's a utilitarian sort of product, and it's hard wearing. The owners very sensibly opted for a colour here that's really cool. You know, reflects the heat. So underfoot, it's nice in warmer countries. It's nice and cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Should we?
Let's head inside.
Carry on. Yeah, great. Yeah, this just feels fantastic, doesn't it? I mean, it feels so welcoming.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is the main saloon, and.
Yeah, I mean,
take a seat.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you know, underway or at harbour, you know, anchor or in a harbour. I mean, it just feels so welcoming, so sort of, you know, so airy and relaxed. It's almost like an open plan living. You know, it's sort of, you know, that's really lovely.
Exactly that, and with the glazing as well. You know, you've got this panoramic view. I mean, you can, you put this control console down as a piano lid, so that hides out of the way, and then you've just got these fantastic views. And again, going back to the glazing, you know, I think it's a really smart move, particularly upstairs with the light tint, but particularly upstairs with the totally clear glazing. Is that if you're in high latitudes, for instance, and you've got your kind of flat light landscape views, you know, things like that, you don't really want a heavily tinted window. You want to be able to really kind of take that in. So I think that's a really smart move by the owner.
Yeah, amazing. And so take us through the sort of vessel management platform.
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, this control station here is an option that's been taken on both of the 85s that we're building. The idea really being that if you're in this sort of social environment and you might be at anchor, or you might be, even if you're on passage and you're on watch, you can be on watch from here, and you've got the field of vision, and you've got everything you need from a control perspective. But you can be with the family, which is a really nice feature that I think will be really popular. But when you're not using it, it all just folds away and is hidden and just becomes part of the joinery. So anyway, under here we have, as you can see, we've got you know, we've got the sort of the bare minimum necessary equipment really for managing the vessel, and communications as well. But we have the alarm and monitoring and switching system. So from here you can monitor your power usage. You know, see what your generators are doing. You can look at your batteries. So, you know, batteries are, as you see, full there at the moment, and we're and you can see at the moment the shore power is on, and then just flicking through these, you know, you can control all of your various exterior lighting, whether that be sort of courtesy lighting or utility lighting, navigation lights, which have their controls and then their backup controls, engine data, all your kind of necessary engine running data there, and then you get into like fuel tank management. So, for instance, you can see here that we've got 4 big sort of double bottom integral bunker tanks, and then we've got our 2 day tanks that we saw in the engine room. And through this screen here, you can control all the valves, you can control the pumps, so you can move fuel around the boat, which is necessary in terms of transferring and filtering fuel through to your day tanks, but also as you work your fluids down, you might feel that you want to ballast the boat in a certain way, whether you feel that you need to move some fuel forwards to move the centre of gravity forwards, or if you feel that you've got a slight list developing, you know, you can do that all from there, which is really useful, and you can do that either through a filtration system, or you can do it at high capacity through a higher capacity pump, which is a really great feature. Freshwater system. So again, we've got some enormous water tanks in the bow, and that's not only for the obvious for supplying drinking water, but also again, it's all of this ability to do whatever you want in terms of controlling the trim of the boat.
Yeah, amazing. And how is the trim controlled? So you've obviously got the fins going. You've got interceptors.
So the interceptors, yeah. So for instance, when you're you don't typically see interceptors on slow moving boats. You know, our maximum speed on this boat is 14 knots, and but actually, when you get above 10 knots, we found the interceptors in the tank testing. We found them to be super effective, and on trials they've exceeded the expectations there. So as you get faster, obviously your bow comes up a bit, and just a little bit of interceptor deployment brings the stern up and levels the trim and decreases your fuel consumption. So.
Yeah, very cool.
And then just various other things, engine room ventilation, monitoring your doors and hatches on board. So you can see here all the doors that we've left open on our way through the boat. Hopefully, if you were heading off on passage, they'd all be green, meaning they're all shut. And manual bilge pumping systems, automatic bilge pumping systems, and then alarms and settings pages. So,
what about in the engine room? Sort of things like fire suppression and. Because there's infrared cameras in there, I think. And we use a Statex, which is an aerosol-based fire suppression system. So it's inert, so it's not it's not a sort of when it goes off, it's not like some of your kind of gas-based systems, which can be quite hazardous. But it's really effective, and it's also in the battery room. It's effective with lithium batteries systems as well. So and it's just nice and neat, and works really well for us. So. Yeah. And what's lovely is, I mean, all these materials are really, I mean, these are sort of, I think the entire, all these surfaces are leather and, you know, really lovely woods and finishes and stuff like that. And, you know, it's got a really homely feel, but it feels super luxy and you know. It's
And you know, and again, in terms of arrangement, this is a very open lounging space. There's no sort of formal dining space here. This is all about getting the family together. There's a TV.
Yeah, I mean, this is great, isn't it? So you can have, you know, a load of people sat here watching TV, chilling out.
Yeah, rise and fall TV there. And
soundbar. I mean, the sound would be amazing.
It's great. Yeah.
I've got speakers there as well.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And then, you know, drinks fridges, storage for sort of bar supplies and things like that. You know, it's really nice.
Yeah,
choice.
It's a really open layout. I mean, it's interesting on boat 2, obviously, because that or the other boat that's in build, because the configuration is completely different. You know, the stairs are in a different location. There's a dining set up for, I think, was it 12, 14 people or something?
Yeah. So the other boat has a large formal dining space, and but the way that the tables fold and things, it also means you have different areas to sort of relax and socialise, you know. But if you want to have that dining set up, you can set that out and have it's really luxurious kind of dining setting. Again, with the control station up in the.
But that's, I think, one of the beauties of these types of boats is actually they're so modular and so configurable that actually changing the location of that staircase. All right, some engineering work, but it's not thousands of hours of sort of molds and.
So that's the beauty of an aluminium boat as well. You know, we can change the design and without as you say, having to develop new molds and things like that,
Yeah.
and all the cost that comes with that.
Yeah.
So, and a good example here, this particular owner wanted a sort of informal dinette sort of space that, and very specifically wanted it as close to the pitch centre of the boat as possible. So from a comfort perspective, want to be able to just sit, a couple of people sit and have some lunch while someone else is on watch. And if you're in a heavy sea state, you're in a more comfortable position on board, which I think is a really smart move.
Yeah,
that's
really clever.
a sign of someone who's got a lot of experience cruising.
Does that shell come with it?
Yeah. You can have that one.
Free shell.
Yeah. And then the galley. So
galley's really interesting, isn't it? Because I guess there's always so much debate about a galley, isn't there? Chefs want this, and owners want that, and the crew want this, and So this was, I think the result of lots of that debate. But run us through it.
That's it. Yeah. So it's always something. I wonder if we'll ever build the same galley twice. We have our standard design, which with Design Unlimited has been really well thought through, but an owner comes along and has a very different way of cooking. Everyone kind of my technique in the kitchen is get everything out, cause a bit of a tornado, and
then leave.
And then leave. Yeah. No, but this particular the captain in fact had a very specific way in which he wanted things laid out, and it works really well. It's been tried and tested now. A fair bit since delivery.
But what's great is the space is really it doesn't feel cramped at all. It feels very luxurious. There's lots of room to move. We can quite easily, there's two of us here, we can quite easily sort of work together.
Yeah. And then the way that the appliances are laid out as well. So you've got the hob and the oven there. So this is a steam oven. Yeah. Combi microwave oven up there. It's all Miele equipment.
Big fridge.
Big fridge, yeah. We got lots of refrigeration tucked away on board in various locations, and then a dishwasher. This is a commercial a professional grade rapid dishwasher. So you could do a load. I think it's like 8 minutes or something.
8 minutes
like
for a whole load.
Yeah. Which is a nice alternative to having a big dishwasher or multiple dishwashers, and really nice.
Let's just talk through the philosophy about rubbish on board, because that's we talked a lot about compactors and rubbish storage systems and things, and I think where you ended up was really clever. Just talk us through that.
Yeah, there are all sorts of bits of equipment you can buy for garbage management and that sort of thing. And fundamentally, I think the starting point should be bring on board as little rubbish as possible. Decant things into reusable containers. And obviously, as you would at home, make sure any recycling is clean and dry, and that means you can store it on board without it smelling. And so we got huge spaces for rubbish built in there. In the Lazarette, you may have seen a couple of big barrels basically for waste. And the other thing is, if you're we've got all this freezer capacity and different freezers on board. If you're on a long passage and you've generated food waste and you don't want to throw it over the side, freeze it.
Yeah, for sure.
So and in the forepeak, there's lots of space if you've got a load of cardboard that's folded up and needs tucking away.
But it always amazes me that rubbish is always an afterthought. For these things. What tends to happen is people cart tons and tons of stuff on the boat, stack it all away, and then when they're cruising, realise they've got this massive rubbish problem. So I think the idea of just sorting it out before you go.
I think it's also
it's partly.
There's also a real issue, I think, in that a lot of some of these big yachts, particularly, come into these far-flung places that might not have the infrastructure to deal with that, and they bring all of their rubbish ashore and disappear, and that's someone else's problem, which I think you've got to be able to be considerate of the places and the people.
Yeah, and I think the whole philosophy for Arksen as a whole, and certainly for this boat and others like it, is really just to take the strain away from those precious environments, to try and tread really lightly.
Yeah.
And I think that the whole ethos about how it's built, the engineering behind it, just things like the sewage treatment plants and stuff like that, all the way through, I think every step has been sort of considered around trying to take waste out of the system or cause less harm all the way. So I think that it's a really nice philosophy for us to have
absolutely
as a business.
So moving forward then, so we're into
into the head forward.
Yeah, so this is the entrance lobby here. So we have a day head here, which is a wet room and shower. But we also have there's a sliding a sliding door here, so you can actually completely separate the space off. So if you've got your heating on, for instance, and you've got lots of people coming in and out of the door, or same with the air conditioning, you don't lose that. And
yeah, it's lovely though, but it creates this sense of isolation, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Really lovely.
And you can, and again, if that's shut, if it's wet weather or whatever, if you want to come in and take your shoes off, your little clever little features like you can come in and take your shoes off and
very nice.
Put them in the shoe drawers, and put your wet gear in the drying locker there. So there's a locker there that's got heating and ventilation, and a sort of like a tray at the bottom to catch any moisture. And but also fundamentally, I mean, this owner intends just to have a hanging rail in their day head here. So if they've got a lot of people with a lot of wet gear, they can just come and hang their wet gear in that, which is a wet room, and it makes total sense. So
yeah,
that's the right way around.
Yeah, that's lovely. And the day head's lovely, isn't it? Really spacious. Feels great.
Yeah, and if you've been swimming,
sort of really...
you can come in and have a shower without traipsing through the boat.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Really nice. I love the floor actually. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah.
Really nice.
No, really nice.
Yeah.
So we head upstairs?
Yeah, great. I love the texture of this wood and what do they call this? Slatted sort of paneling. Looks really great.
Yeah, no, it works really well down both stairwells, I think.
Yeah. And the leather handrails feel really, real. I don't know. They feel really strong and secure. And,
yeah, plenty of really things to grab hold of. Yeah. So this is the upper saloon.
Fantastic.
So you can see at the moment this is configured as a sort of a day bed arrangement, which looks just really cosy and fun.
Yeah. And this comes up. So this is a table.
Yeah.
That rises up, so you can.
So that's on an electric leg. So when that comes up, and then it's just a dining table.
Yeah. But that's great, isn't it? I mean, just.
Yeah, I mean,
chilling out.
Yeah, and
watching an iceberg go by, or.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, when you're out at sea, you can have someone can be on watch, and then you can have the family sat around the table, eating, drinking, playing games, doing whatever, and really nice kind of close social atmosphere on both decks.
And what was the philosophy between these sort of two nav stations?
So yeah, this is actually a sort of an optional arrangement that the captain and the owner went for on this boat. So this is a really nice nav station with a sort of a chart desk, a nice comfortable chart desk, forward facing. He's got a plotter screen there. He's got the various bits of nav data coming through there and the comms equipment. Just a really nice way of doing it. Chart stowage, little cubbies hidden away all over the place.
A lot of charts already.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
And load more inside here, and everywhere there's just little stowage cubbies, and it works really well. And then the main control station. So this is obviously the main control station for the boat. So you've got here.
That looks fantastic.
You've got your alarm and monitoring system over there that we looked at downstairs. Which is also your CCTV display. You've got two chart and radar plotters here, and then also an IMO radar screen here. So really well kitted out in terms of navcoms equipment, and then the general equipment for navigating the boat.
And this has got a bow thruster. Doesn't have a stern thruster.
Just a bow thruster on this one. Yeah.
So the next one's got a stern thruster as well.
Yeah. So the next one is a hybrid, and then so it has electric. Bow and stern thrusters, so yeah.
Brilliant. Looks fantastic.
And then just comfortable seats. Options, options we've done on other boats. Controls in armrests and the seats, things like that. You can really go to town with kit it out. Everyone's got their own preferences in terms of how consoles are laid out and what sort of equipment they have, and we can do pretty much anything there.
And with the fins, what's the sort of movement? I mean, you were saying earlier that about 80% of the roll is taken out on sea trials and things. How was this? What was the sort of overall performance like?
It was out on trials in quite rough conditions. Just a really nice gentle motion. Really, we were going through some really lumpy seas, and It was very comfortable. We had a load of people sat up here, including the owner, and everyone remarked about how comfortable it was compared to other boats of a similar size they'd been on, and it just felt very safe, very solid. You know, we were going through some pretty big head seas at some point.
You've got a sunroof.
Yeah, a couple of hatches there with blinds, so you can shut the shades on that, which is quite nice. And we've got both decks electric blinds and all cabins electric blinds all the way around. And plenty of
And
options
this is really beautifully sculpted, isn't it? Really nice. It feels really solid and lovely to touch. The ergonomics of it are really well thought through.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just the way it's all crafted. That's all moulded round, and the attention to detail across the whole platform is just fantastic.
Yeah, lots of really tactile surfaces and details, and
it feels really triumphant as a great team. So where I guess we're gonna.
We'll head if we head out the side.
We're heading out
here.
Yeah. So here's all the solar.
Yeah. So
this is interesting, isn't it? It's flexible solar.
Yep. Yeah. So we've got these on all of this bonnet area here, and down the sides and on the roof we have all these solar panels. And you can see those skylight hatches there as well. And then just turning around here, you've got this lovely seating area here. It's a really nice little place to escape. Maybe come and have a coffee, glass of wine, and just kind of
after you've messed up the kitchen.
That's right. Yeah. Especially if you're berth stern too, for instance, and you just want a bit of privacy, and you can. I think this would be quite a nice place to sit with a lovely view, and really nice.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And the wiper blades come all the way round, all the way back. Which is interesting. It's not just on the front windscreens. It's come.
That's right. Yeah. And they're commercial duty wipers, and high specification.
What's the expected lifespan of one of these blades?
I've not been asked that before. long enough. But the other thing you have is heated washer nozzles. So if you're somewhere cold, you won't have issues with those freezing.
Oh really? They're actually heated themselves?
Yeah, the actual nozzles are heated.
Are they?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And these are double glazed, single glazed?
Single. They're single. They're laminated, so there's an interlayer in them.
Right.
So these ones we're looking at here are actually 25 millimeters thick. An inch thick, so really tough, and it's like 2 12.5 mil layers of glass with an interlayer, and like I said before, these are clear, but as you move around on the lower deck, they've got this solar reflecting interlayer in there. So I forget what the percentage is, but really significant reduction in the load on your air conditioning systems from heat loss through the windows.
And the whole HVAC system was quite was a piece of art, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we've really spent a lot of time looking into that, and we've got all sorts of different options there for whether it be underfloor heating or heat pumps or heat recovery systems, and lots going on there. The other thing on this particular boat, so we offer sort of remote docking systems and things like that, but this boat has fixed wing stations. So the captain of this particular boat was quite keen on having the sort of the conventional wing station. So obviously from here you have a really fantastic view when you're berthing. And you've got all the necessary controls here: throttle, steering, thrusters, anchor windlass. You've got your sort of your instrument there, so you can see your depth and your speed, etc. Your horn, and we've got these kind of in 3 different positions on the boat. So there's another one on the starboard side, and as we walk around here, you'll see there's another one on the aft end for berthing stern too. Life raft. So we, as I said before, this is a Category 0 coded boat. So we've got duplicate life rafts, so 2 16-person life rafts, automatically launching in little cradles here. And the boat's packed with all the necessary safety equipment, firefighting equipment, that side of things.
Yeah, amazing. 2 16-person life rafts.
Yeah,
that's huge, isn't it?
As you walk past here, we've got the this is the engine room air outlet, and on the other side is the air inlet. Well above the waterline, and away from the sort of from a noise perspective, away from accommodation areas and lounging areas, which is quite nice when you're underway.
This is another nav station.
Another control station, yeah. So this particular owner, the captain wanted another station there, so when they're berthing stern to, they can see everything that's going on, look around the corner and see the person on the anchors and see everything that's going on behind, and still be able to look over the side. And it's just a nice practical, functional feature.
And this is what, access to the mast?
Yeah. So you can get up onto the roof there, up to the mast.
Wonderful.
And then this lovely seating dining area.
Yeah, this is great, isn't it?
So you can again, some sort of nice and comfortable, plenty of space. You can easily fit. You can easily fit 6 people around here, as you can see, and you can bring portable chairs up and increase that to 8. And just when this table folds away, and this should just be a really nice lounging area. Just fantastic place to take in the view. And we'll talk a bit more about it in detail later. But you can also see here the booms we have for launching tenders and toys, but also deploying the flopper stoppers. The sort of the passive stabilisation system, and really heavily engineered. That boom will lift a ton and a half. Safe working load, from this inner lifting position here, and then at the outer lifting position, it will take all the loads associated with the flopper stoppers, and you can just see how chunky everything is, how well built the gooseneck is, all the rigging fittings. Everything's been really thoroughly tested to sort of commercial standards, and
and
really,
I think the
really
whole
nice
stabilisation piece. I mean, with gyros and fins and the flopper stoppers. I mean, they're very different sort of philosophies, aren't they? Really, but I think
like so the fins are underway. The fins are really effective. The faster you go, the more effective they are. But they're also they're sized for anchor use. So the really cool thing about the Humphrey fin system is that when you're at anchor, you go into anchoring mode, and the fins actually rotate 180 degrees. So rather than traditionally, fins will kind of walk you towards your anchor, which can kind of sort of mess up your heading to the sea or to the wind slightly, whereas these ones will turn around and walk you away from the anchor, so that you always head to the conditions. So it's kind of doubling up on that effect of increasing the level of comfort. And then gyros, obviously much better when you're stationary. So the next boat we're building has fins and gyros, and it'll be really, really interesting to put that to the test.
flopper stoppers.
And also the flopper stoppers, which they're great. Yeah, we've seen 60% roll reduction in trials with flopper stoppers, which use zero power. It's really, really, really cool system.
Amazing. But here's really special, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah,
really
and lighting, lighting options and things. We've got some lovely lighting out here.
Should we head in?
Yeah, let's do it. So we head back down.
Yeah. So what's this? So this is storage, coffee making. That's a sink?
So there's a sink under there, and so you've got your hot cold water, but you've also got a cooker tap there that does boiling water and cold drinking water as well. So there's a separate drinking water tank on this boat. It's all drinking water, but the one tank that's solely fed by the water maker and the water purifier.
And then these are fridges.
Fridge drawers there, and then just storage space.
It's a lovely feel. I mean, what a great space.
Yeah, and just the volume of storage up here is fantastic. Yeah,
really lovely.
Yeah,
great. Should we wander down?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go to the aft deck.
Brilliant. I might actually put my coat on.
Yeah, it's a bit nippy. So we have here a sort of an outdoor kitchen unit. So there's a barbecue which sits on there. There's a fridge underneath it. Another little sink there. So
and what's in here? All of the sort of power, water.
Yeah. So exactly. So there's power sockets in there for anything you might want to power on deck. There's fire hydrant. There's deck wash. And some sort of general sort of stowage space in there for things like fire hose and various bits and bobs. So like I say, you put the barbecue there, or you can use that to gut the enormous fish that you've caught, or whatever it is that you might want to be doing. So down the port side here, good access to the mooring equipment. So we got these mooring winches, and again the really heavily constructed mooring bollards, and then the tender. This is a 5-metre tender, which is a really, really decent sized tender to have on an 85-foot boat. And you could potentially fit one ever so slightly bigger on here as well. And
the tender sort of, I think it was 8-seat.
Yeah, on
tender.
paper it'll seat 8 people, and
Yeah.
and it's all covered up for the winter,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's a very nice tender. Aluminium hull matches the boat perfectly.
Yeah, lovely.
If we head around the other side, we'll talk a bit more about the
And just
launching.
So on the other boat, obviously there's a big crane system.
On the subject of launching, so this particular boat utilises the booms solely for launching the tender, which works really well. But we have options for cranes as well. So on this boat, there's actually a foundation there. So if the owner ever decides to fit a crane there, they can. There's actually another place on the centre line, another place where you can potentially fit a crane. So depending on how you want to configure the deck. So I think that's a really sensible thing to build into the boat to sort of future-proof things. It helps with the resale value. And on the other boat we're building, there is a big knuckle boom crane that sits there for tender launching, and which again will be a really, really useful thing to have.
And then you've got swing arms, haven't you, as an option to be able to put the tender outboard.
So on another boat we're building at the moment, there are two arms which swing out of the bulwarks here, and have cradles on them, so you can actually pick the tender up, lift it off the deck, and plonk it down on the swing arms, so that it just opens up the deck. So if I don't know whether you're entertaining, for instance, or you
if you're having a rave,
or a tennis match, you have this enormous deck space then that you can that you can use. So
and what is the
really
deck area, roughly?
Oh, blimey! Roughly, we're looking at about must be about 40 square meters.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Right.
Brilliant. And so, I guess one of the other things that we really love doing is doing some of the design work around the Arksen brand, and that, how we bring that to life. And these logos are not just sort of stamped out of a piece of metal. These are all cast, and they're cast with charms, and they're cast with poems embedded into them. And every logo is unique to every boat. And it's there's just a really lovely ethos around it, and they're built and designed by a pretty prominent UK sculptor. He's asked not to be named, but it's just goes to the attention to detail that we've gone to in this boat, which is that even the logo that's stuck on the side has a story behind it, has a narrative baked into it, has so much thought, and it looks very simple, but the manufacturing of it, the casting of it, there's a whole story behind that. One day we'll bring to life. And then, lovely outdoor
dining space.
That's huge. I mean, and you've got chairs that sit around here, haven't you, as well?
Yeah. So again, there's just the versatility of this deck space. So we've got folding chairs, so you can fit lots of people around there. But then just going back to this deck space. I mean, yes, tender normally lives there, but you've got space here for another smaller tender, or kayaks, or paddle boards, or a drone, or an ROV, or whatever you might want to put there.
A mini moke.
Yeah, mini moke. Yeah. Why not? Really, really versatile.
So these booms. So these are options, I guess.
It's. I mean, I think they're a very useful piece of kit. They're also I think a really awesome styling feature that so I suspect that it's an option that'll be very popular. And, so we talked about the tender lifting, but at this end point here, you can also deploy what's called a flopper stopper, but it's essentially a sort of a big hinged stainless steel plate that's lowered into the water each side of the boat. So these booms swing out 90 degrees, lower the flopper stoppers into the water, and as the boat rolls, they create resistance and actually are really effective in leveling the boat, in sort of controlling the roll of the boat, making it comfortable. So like I said, like we had motion sensing equipment on board during trials, and we were seeing 60% roll reduction, which for a rectangle of stainless steel dangling in the water is pretty effective. That's using zero power. It's a great thing to have. And then access to the boat. So we have various options for sort of hydraulic passerelles and things. This boat has this carbon fibre gangway, so that'll easily reach a quayside when you're stern to. But you can actually also, it breaks down into two pieces, and there are various points around the perimeter of the boat where you can mount it. So you can have it coming off the side of the bathing platform, for instance. You can have it coming off the sideboarding areas of the boat, suspended from the roof. And so no matter where you are in the world and how you birth in that place, they're a really nice.
Or whatever the tidal range is.
Tidal range, yeah, exactly. Whether it's an old quay wall or a pontoon or a sort of typical Mediterranean stern-to situation, you've got options there for boarding the boat.
That's great, and the best seat in the house.
Yeah. Yeah, fold down seat there. I think that'd be quite a nice place to.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic.
Nice place to hang out.
And I think what's so special about this as a vessel is that it really combines that sort of rugged, purposeful intent, that you really feel you can go pretty much anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
But it couples that with this sort of really warm and comforting interior. And I think it's very unusual in the industry to find that.
Yeah, I think you tend to get some vessels which are sort of out and out exploration machines, but then you get some boats which are more about the softer touches, and I think we've done a pretty good job, if I may say so, of kind of amalgamating those things. As you've seen, you've got this working deck, what is a working deck in this configuration, but then you've got this lovely, comfortable, luxurious interior, all nice and warm and cosy, and on a winter day. So yeah, it works really well.
And I think the whole ethos of Arksen of being able to support research and scientists and being able to sort of, have the opportunity to do this sort of other type of, to go beyond leisure, I think is really, it's one of the reasons why a deck this size is so, so important and so useful, I think. But hopefully that was a really useful overview of the Arksen 85. Jim, amazing job. Extraordinary amount of engineering, of thought, of design work, of really disciplined process. I mean, it's an absolute triumph. What you and your team have built.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic wider team at Arksen and our design partners that I've mentioned. I really look forward to working on the next project with them, and
plenty more to come.
Plenty more to come. See what comes next.
Well, thanks so much, any questions, just let us know. Thanks very much.
Cheers.